um, iba dun sa larger culture. So we have two, which the first of which, okay, move ko na sa next slide. First, we have subcultures, and then we have countercultures. So when we say subcultures, these are cultural groups that have distinct cultural features that allow us to distinguish them or identify them. So, for example, if you encounter a person from a different subculture on the street, you'd be able to identify them quite easily kasi nga they have distinct cultural features. So, example, for subculture is in the context of the Philippines would be Jejemon culture. 'Di ba? Kasi for Jejemon culture, it initially was just or it started out at least sa unique way of texting, 'di ba? And eventually nag-transcend na siya and even manifested in, I guess, the way that people dressed, yung kanilang the way that they pose for pictures, yung even yung the way that they edit pictures, 'di ba? If you remember yung mga Retrica filters ganyan. So yun. So these are the distinct cultural features of Jejemon culture. So if you encounter a Jejemon person, di ba, before, you'd be able to identify them quite easily. So yun yung subculture. Another example is K-pop culture, di ba? So there are things kasi that K-pop fans do that perhaps fans of other artists do not do, di ba? So um ibig sabihin, meron silang, yun nga, for example, fan chants, if you're familiar. So, habang concert or during performances of K-pop artists, meron silang kinakanta, sinasabayan nila ng pagkanta, pero hindi yung exact lyrics. So, para silang sumasagot dun sa artist. That's not something that you can observe sa mga fans ng other artists, diba? You also have yung light sticks. So sa fans ng ibang artist baka ano yan, anong tawag doon? Flashlight, 'di ba, ng cellphone. Pero sa K-pop fans, that's light stick na specific pa talaga dun sa grupo. So, yun, there are distinct cultural features of K-pop fans that allow us to identify that these are fans of K-pop K-pop groups, parang ganun. Okay, so that's subculture. Now, the other kind of alternate culture is what we call counterculture. So dito naman, hindi lang sila may distinct cultural features, they also challenge, no? Binabangga nila yung prevailing norms, ideas, trends, or yung nga, ideologies of a society. So, the best example for counterculture is really hippie culture. 'Di ba? So ano ba yung mga distinct cultural features ng hippie culture? So meron silang yung peace and love, 'di ba? Yung psychedelic um aesthetic, and I guess to an extent kasama rin associated or they're known for yung nga, using drugs, for instance. Van life, yung sustainable living, yung kung ano yung tatanim nila, yun yung kanilang kakainin. A lot of them also became vegetarians or even vegans during that time. Ano pa ba ang nami-miss out ko? Yun. So, ilan lang yun sa mga distinct cultural features ng mga taong ito. So, hindi sila pa-different lang was what I'm trying to say. Um, it's instead, these are, kumbaga, they have an ideological basis, excuse me. Okay, they have an ideological basis for why they do those things or why they have those kinds of cultural features. So, if you remember, no, during the time na maraming hippies, no, during the 60s and 70s, ano bang meron sa mundo nung panahon na yon? It was the Cold War. So, during this time, the US in particular was pretty, ano ba? Ano yung word na ginagamit ko? Paranoid, no, about socialist or communist sentiments. And at that time, they were also planning on waging a war against Vietnam, which they eventually did. So yun. And those are the things that the hippies in particular were against. No? These were the yung ideologies nga na hindi inaagrihan no ng mga hippies. And that can be manifested dun sa halimbawa yung peace and love, 'di ba? They're against violence and cruelty that the US was planning on on unleashing if they and they did should they wage a war against Vietnam, 'di ba? Yung anti-capitalist they're not necessarily socialist or communist itong mga hippies, but they're at the very least anti-capitalist, no? Yung van life, yung 'di ba, divorced from society, yung sustainable living na kung ano yung tatanim mo, yun din yung kakainin mo. No, all of these things point to yung sinasabi natin na merong pagbangga no, na ginagawa yung hippies sa um sa larger culture. Ayan. So, ma'am, may hippies din po sa subculture slide. Yes, well, the thing about these kasi is that, yun nga, meron din naman kasi silang distinct cultural features, di ba, yung hippies, which allows us to easily identify them. Pero the thing is, I guess they're also better examples for counterculture kasi nga, hindi lang sila pa-different, meron silang basehan kung bakit nila ginagawa yung mga bagay na yun. So they're also challenging the prevailing cultural norms, assumptions, trends, and ideologies. So, ayan. So, kasama sila sa subculture kasi meron silang distinct cultural features. And kasama rin sila sa counterculture kasi meron silang distinct features and at the same time, they challenge the cultural norms. So, it's possible for these two to have overlaps, definitely. Okay, thank you for bringing that up, Sean. Ayan. Yeah, if you guys have other questions and other concerns, you can type them sa ating chat box. So ayan, and I forgot to show this slide. So this is an image taken by Bernie Boston in 1967. This was against one of the mobilizations of the hippies or of people in general, but generally attended by hippies during ano yun, being against or protesting against the US waging a war against Vietnam. So, yeah, flower power kasi they're putting flowers into gun barrels. Okay, next. Again, okay, so at this point, we're now going to be discussing the different cultural processes that happen when we are within our own culture and when we encounter other cultures. So, dun muna tayo sa intracultural processes. So, when we say intracultural processes, these are processes that happen when we interact with people within our own culture. So the first is something that I've already mentioned a while ago, enculturation through socialization. So when you say enculturated na ang isang tao, no, ibig sabihin they have now embodied the culture. No, they have now learned and yun nga, embodied already the culture that they have. So that they belong to. And sabi natin kanina, for you to learn your culture, for you to, of course, be embodied in that culture, it will happen through socialization. Matututunan mo siya sa pakikipag-interact sa mga taong kabilang sa kulturang yun. Okay. And then our primary source of socialization is the family. So sila yung mga una nating nakaka-interact, di ba, sa lipunan. So, Malinowski defines the family as a set of people who recognize each other and are distinguished from other groups. So, we recognize each other meaning, excuse me, nanay mo ko, anak kita, distinguished from each other, distinguished from other groups, isang pamilya tayo, ibang pamilya yung nasa kabila, parang gano'n. Okay. I have a sample question here. Babalik tayo din dito. So if you need to take a screenshot, pwedeng later na lang para kompleto na yung slide. I have a sample question here about the family. Okay, so a family unit composed of relatives in addition to parents and children who live in the same household is called a disjointed kinship, an extended family, a nuclear family, or conjugal family. Kindly type your answers on the chat box. So excuse lang saglit habang nagta-type kayo. Okay, and most of you got the correct answer. This is an extended family because of the words in addition to. So kung parents and children lang, that's a nuclear family or a conjugal family. Those two are just the same. And then extended family is yun nga, meron kang pwedeng pinsan, tito, tita, lolo, lola, halimbawa, in your household as well. So, ayan. Ayan. And then our secondary source of socialization happens with our school, or sorry, in school, with our friends, through media and the government. And they all inform us how we should act in society. So definitely your school, your friends, and the media influence how you act in society. The government, paano niya ini-influence how you should act in society? So I have one example through the Rizal Law, 'di ba? So bakit ba kailangan ninyong pag-aralan yung life and works ni Rizal from third year, ay wala, hindi ba third year high school? Ay, shucks, oo nga 'no. Um, from high school to college or ngayon ba college na? I can't remember sa curriculum. But anyway, the reason why there is an actual law, no, mandating that you learn the life and works of Rizal is because the state wants you to embody the nationalistic spirit, parang ganon, of Rizal so that you can learn, no, or pick up from him yung pagiging of yung pagmamahal para sa bayan, parang ganun. So that's one way, no, through which the government influences your behavior or how you should act in society. Okay, and then we have Ferdinand Tonis, who is a German sociologist. He said that there are two categories of social relationships, Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft. So pag sinabi natin Gemeinschaft, this is when an individual, sorry, this is when the nature of the culture or the social relations nga of a community tends to be communal or sorry, collectivist. Meaning yung decision ng isang tao, isipin niya kung ano yung magiging impact ng decision niya sa ibang miyembro ng community. No? So, and according to Tony's, this often is observed in rural areas. No? So the reason probably why this is the case is because if everyone is interdependent in rural areas. No? So to explain this further, I'll be using the example of gotong royong in Indonesia. So gotong royong is sort of Indonesia's version of bayanihan. So it's cultural. It's something that um it's something that parang it's a social value that they have. So for example, um yung way of thinking nila, um ako ay nagbe-benefit mula sa kalupaan. So I benefit from the land. It is therefore my responsibility to maintain the land because other people are also dependent on the land. Parang ganon. So if if everyone will do their part, no, and take care of the land, magbe-benefit din ako from that, 'di ba? So everyone should do their part. Parang ganun yung logic nila. So that's a very broad very simplistic and very broad explanation for Gotong Royong. You can read about it if you're interested. Pero yun, so that's one of the reasons why this is more often observed in rural areas because there's an interdependency when it comes to acquiring resources as opposed to Gesellschaft, which is the focus now is on the self, no? So when an individual makes a decision, they only consider their conditions or themselves nga in making that decision, not taking into account the possible consequences or impact of their decision to other people. And this is often observed in urban areas. And probably the reason why this is the case, kasi yun nga, the opposite naman of rural areas. Sa urban areas, you only have to count on yourself or parang ganun, it's only yourself that you have to interact with in order to acquire your resources, parang ganun. So hindi dependent kumbaga yung ibang tao sa iyo sa kung ano yung gagawin mo para ma-acquire yung kanilang resources. So in that sense, you can just care about yourself, no? So if you want to better remember so that it's easier for you to remember, Gesellschaft, yung may S, yun yung focus sa self. Okay? Yung may S, yun yung focus sa self. Okay. Next, we're now going to proceed to the different intercultural processes. So when you say intercultural, these are the processes that happen when we interact with other cultures, no? So outside of our own. So the first one is acculturation. So this is different from enculturation, or being enculturated. Being enculturated is learning your own culture. Acculturation is when you learn perhaps the culture of others. No, so for example, OFWs who work in Hong Kong need to learn the ways of life, I guess, or how people do things in Hong Kong para para hindi sila others, parang gano'n, para sila ay makapag seamlessly interact, no, with people in Hong Kong. But at the same time, no, these people, these OFWs, still practice their original culture, yung Filipino culture. For example, tuwing Sunday, nagsisimba pa rin sila. They still, ang tawag dyan, um, they still go to karaoke, mga gano'n. May mga pageants pa rin sila. So, ayan. So, yun yung acculturation. So, you learn a new culture, but you still practice your original one. No? So, that's acculturation. The next one is assimilation. So, assimilation is when you are you have to learn a new culture and at the same time reject your original culture. No? So there's a demand of yun nga, not practicing anymore or rejecting your original culture. So this is often observed, or this is often what happens to colonized people. No? So dito sa Pilipinas na lang, or in these islands, diba? Before the Spaniards arrived, our indigenous peoples already had their own belief systems. They already had their rituals, ganyan, the ways that they do things, meron na silang existing culture, form of government, ganyan. When the Spaniards arrived, no, one of the things that they did early on was what we call the reducción, Reduccion. So what happened in the reducción is that, well, first of all, we were consolidated as one country, no, yung islands natin were consolidated as one country. And then, aside from that, tawag dyan, the people were consolidated into towns, or what we call pueblos. No? So yung mga nakatira sa kung saan-saan, pagsasama-samahin sila sa mga pueblo. So yung mga pueblo, ito yung mga magkakapangalan ng mga towns na meron sa buong Pilipinas, no, na may simbahan, yung tinatawag nating Plaza Complex. May simbahan, malapit sa ospital, malapit sa paaralan, mga ganyan. Tapos kung ano yung saklaw, hanggang saan yung abot ng kampana doon sa simbahan, yun din yung saklaw ng kapangyarihan or ng jurisdiction ng pueblo na yun. So anyway, why am I saying this? Anong kinalaman dito sa assimilation? The people, the indigenous peoples, for example, who lived in the mountains, for example, um, they were forced, no, to go sa kapatagan. They were forced to live in the pueblos or in the towns. What does this mean for them? Our indigenous peoples have a very, very special relationship with their environment, no, with their lands. Yung tinatawag nating ancestral lands. Kasi yung kanilang lupain, yung kanilang environment ay very much tied sa kanilang practices, very much tied sa kanilang belief systems. So if you displace, no, if you uproot, no, these people from their lands, mawawala na yung kanilang pagpa-practice. Mahihirapan or mawawala yung means nila to practice their belief systems, diba? So aside from that, they were also or the Spaniards also imposed their own religion on us. Not just their religion, for that matter, their culture on us, their way of dressing, their way of acting, their norms, diba? And anyone who, halimbawa, in terms of religion, anyone who practiced quote unquote pagan, diba, practices or anything. When you say pagan, it's anything that does not align with the Christian doctrine.